821, the legendary voice of the Northern Plains, K-Fire 550 guns in the 701, and the quitter wants back in. Should we let him back in?
Why not, right?
Just teasing.
Just filling in, Todd.
Okay. So now you're just on a fill-in basis. Okay. You're not actually.
Mike's got.
You're just.
Mike's got a deal going with his wife, so I'm happy to fill in, man. You know.
Well, are you expecting a South Dakota call in right now? Because there's one ringing.
No,
you never know. Maybe.
Well, we'll just take it cold and see what happens. Hi, K-Fire.
Yeah.
Well, and they hang up. Never mind.
Oh, come on. Probably an anti-gunner. Yeah, really.
Nah.
I want to talk to those guns. Those guys don't need guns. Why do they need guns?
Crazy talk, right?
Oh,
exactly. Well,
we got bad news for them then.
What's that?
Our first story, right?
Yeah.
For anti-gunners, we got bad news for them.
All right. Oh, why don't you now that my phone just went, why don't you break everybody in on that first story? Because I was about to. My phone just went.
Okay,
yeah,
I'll get my phone back to life. Okay, there we go. Go ahead.
All right, so January 2024, the National Shooting Sports Foundation came out with their adjusted National Instant Background Check System numbers. At a figure of 1,197,294 is a decrease of 5.6% compared to January of 23, and that adjusted figure was 1,268,236. But I got bad news for the Second Amendment prohibitionist, Clayton, and I'm happy to report that it is the 54th month in a row that gun sales have exceeded 1 million.
Boom.
And that's it. And there's an adjusted figure and an unadjusted figure, and I like to let Clay explain that one because he's a lot better at doing that than I am.
Yeah, when you get the two figures together, you're going to have one that's going to group everything together, right? And so, the National Shooting Sports Foundation actually breaks that down and reminds everybody that the background checks reported from FBI are all checks. So that's every check that took place for even new or used, that anything that ran through a FFL dealer. Well, that doesn't mean that's how many guns actually got sold. You can have multiples, or you might have a handgun and a long rifle. So there probably was more firearms actually sold, because a lot of times you'll get multiples, but they only do one background check. It's not like you go buy 5 guns and you have to have 5 separate checks. Also, a lot of states, North Dakota being one of them, South Dakota has the same, there's a type of concealed carry permit you can have that will allow you to forego the 4473, which is the form you use for NICS, and that is not going to be included in those numbers either. So it's a good number. It gives you a good idea, but there's going to be a variance in there, and there's probably way more firearms that were transferred legally that are not included in these numbers.
And you got to do a background check
everybody.
if you're buying a suppressor and something like that too, right, Clayton?
Correct. Yep. Under the 1934 bill that passed long time ago, which is insane. Yeah, suppressors are considered a firearm or dangerous weapon that you have to have a background check, although even the commie states, even the socialist states allow you to buy them off the shelf, but we have to buy a $200 tax stamp and do a background check.
Hey, you can poke somebody's eye out with that thing.
That's right. It's crazy, right?
You got to have a big eye to get it poked out with a suppressor.
Oh, you're going to give him a black eye anyway, so...
There you go. Just stomp him on the head with it.
We're going to make fists illegal next, so you better watch out. You better not cry. 825 guns in the 701. So Hawaii getting a little creative with the Second Amendment. I guess Hawaii 5-0 and Magnum are just TV shows, so don't base your judgment of Hawaii based on what you see on those.
Yeah. Well, Hawaii, they've been a Democrat state for a very, very long time. Not really friends of the Second Amendment. Well, as you know, we all had the Bruin case. Bruin case set a precedent that has rang through the nation, and correctly as well. that protects the Second Amendment. But I guess Hawaii decided, nope, you know what? We're just going to say, up yours to the Supreme Court and the nation of the law and the final decision, basically. And they took a case here. And, well, I was kind of just going through it quickly, but the guy's name is Wilson, and they call this thing the Spirit of Aloha. And so Christopher Wilson was over there. He was the defendant. And evidently he was, just enjoying a day, taking a stroll, had his 10-millimeter on him, was in possession of it, and then he got arrested. This happened in 2017. He was carrying a gun without a permit. And in the article, they said apparently ammo, too, which is a second charge. That's interesting as well. And essentially this set off this case that I don't think he ever saw it. Lawyers moved that they should dismiss the case because it violated Second Amendment rights, which it does. And it's all in the context of the New York State versus Rifle and Pistol Association, versus Bruin, which the court, as we all know, Supreme Court said, no, you have to have historical basis on these anti-gun laws is essentially what they said. A lower court actually had granted this motion on that basis. The state appealed it, and, of course, then it ended up in the Hawaii State Court. Now, guys, the Hawaii Supreme Court actually states a TV show. They have this in their ruling as that was kind of a basis. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. They actually moved in there that The Wire, a TV show known for its gritty portrayal of drug-infested streets, they didn't sorry, I can't talk today. It's been a long week. It didn't even reference constitutional law, but they quoted the line that the thing about the old days is that they're the old days. They say, it don't matter, that Constitution.
You said that.
Don't worry about that. Did I?
You said, yeah. It says the thing about the old days, the old days.
I didn't get quite that right.
Yeah.
Didn't get that accent out there. But
yeah, so if you ever see The Wire...
Did you say today's the old days? I suppose it depends on how old you are. And a bunch of us are thinking, I'm pushing 60 now, and I'm starting to feel like these are the old days. But anyway.
Just keep pushing it.
I'll tell you what.
Keep pushing.
Yeah, keep pushing. This is one thing, too, I was reading in this ruling, and this comes from about two different articles. I'm going to use the abbreviated one. It says, this is what the court said. As the world turns, it makes no sense for contemporary society to pledge allegiance to the founding era's culture, reality, laws, and understanding of the Constitution. So essentially what they're saying, you know what? Doesn't matter what the Constitution says. Doesn't matter what the U.S. Supreme Court says. It's an old relic. It doesn't matter. And then, of course, they reference the TV show. So they kind of, in essence, I mean, really?
Yeah, so we want to take our legislation based on a TV show. That's smart. That's thinking for you.
I'll give them credit for something. They said the part out loud that damn near all Democrats think right there, Clay. They think the Constitution and Bill of Rights is an outdated piece of toilet paper that doesn't pertain to nowadays. So I'll give them credit for that. Yeah, so they said this is in the spirit of aloha is why they're ruling against this guy. So the spirit of aloha, Todd and Clay, you remember who King Kamehameha was? King Kamehameha dominated. He was the king of this. They got statues of him over in Hawaii. If you remember Magnum PI, like you said, Todd, the King Kamehameha Club, remember that on there? Magnum and TC.
It's been a while since I've not watched it in ages, and no, I'm not watching that reboot series of Magnum. Sorry.
That was stupid, don't it?
Yeah, he was like their big warlord who was the king of Hawaii, and all he made war on all the other islands and took them over. And guess what he used? He used guns doing it as well.
What?
You bet he did. You bet he did.
Heaven forbid.
Yep. The spirit of aloha does include guns, which they said in this article too. Muskets from 1791 weren't designed for mass shootings. Really, tell that to people who were in the Civil War and the Revolutionary War, and then in fact the people who King Kamehameha was raining bullets down on.
They would have been designed for mass shootings had they figured out the technology yet. That was yet to come. But they gladly would have had it in the Civil War and back before the Revolutionary War. You think George Washington wouldn't have given his troops some weapon to mass shoot if it existed?
Well, there was guns, Todd, that like 8-barreled muskets. I can't remember. Maybe Clay remembers.
Well, it's got to be 10 or more for mass.
Handgun. I thought it was 4 or more.
Oh, whatever.
But the pepper box handgun, and they had rifles that shot multiple rounds at once. I mean, they all went off at once, but they still did it.
Oh man! Comes to the 701. We will have more coming up. You said to use the boys are back in town, but I bet you're forgetting this. The boys are back in town.
Wait no more. We're getting ready to rock and roll.
Did.
We're going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. What is the reason everybody should be shaking in the house tonight?
Think Eddie Murphy film.
And you should
the one I was thinking of.
Name is Reggie Hammond.
There you go. That was such a cool movie, wasn't it?
Oh,
That's the last time Nick Nolte looked that coherent, too. Or at least the last time his hair wasn't that big a mess. All right, more coming up on Guns in the 701 in just a moment here on K-Fire. 845 and K-Fire 550, Guns in the 701. You guys still there?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't fall asleep or anything? Okay, fine. Semi-automatic pistols by the numbers.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. Love semi-automatic pistols, Todd. So they dominate the market here in the United States. And as of 2021 numbers, the latest numbers from the ATF, there were 40 manufacturers in the U.S. who made over 10,000 pistols. That's handguns, not revolvers. There's a difference there. And 16 out of those 40 made over 10,000 .22 caliber or smaller pistols. And there's 10 major manufacturers of revolvers in the U.S., but only 5 of those manufacturers make .22 caliber pistols. So I don't think we're going to get through this whole list, but we can get through a couple of them here. The number one manufacturer of these pistols, which I do have one, it's awesome. I love it, is Sturm Ruger, who made a total of 212,946. Clayton, you got a Ruger too. As a matter of fact, I shot it, right? You had the suppressor on there out at Axles. We were shooting that, right?
Yes, sir. Yep. I got the 2245. I love that little pistol with the 1911 frame. And, of course, it shoots the most popular caliber right now in the United States as a whole, the 22 caliber.
Yep. And coming in at second at centerfire is, America's cartridge, God's cartridge, the 223. But my favorite. Number 2 on the list. This one kind of surprised me, Clay. I don't know about you. The Kel-Tec was the number 2 manufacturer of 22 caliber smaller pistols at 98,200. Do you have a Kel-Tec 22 Magnum, which in fact I've shot that as well. Great little pistol. Is that the only Kel-Tec you have then, Clay?
Actually, it is the only one I have is the PMR 30. I love that firearm as well. But it didn't surprise me, though, Jamie, that they came in there in the top. They're a smaller company that started up years ago with the polymer frames, having some fun. But that was not their primary focus, was firearms at the time. So, yeah, they've really caught on. People know what they are, and great gun. Just a great gun.
Yeah, and I think Kel-Tec got famous or infamous, or whichever way you want to look at it, when George Zimmerman used it on Trayvon Martin. So, so number 3, I also have one of these as well, Smith & Wesson. They make them in Columbia, Missouri. I didn't know that, actually, that they made their 22s there, but manufactured 94,852. Clay, you got any Smith & Wesson handguns or 22 handguns?
I don't have any 22 handguns. I've got Smith & Wesson firearms, absolutely, as far as semi-auto pistols, but I do not have a 22. I'm just one of them. I guess now I'm going to have to go get one because I don't have one.
Yeah, well, I'll let you shoot mine. It's awesome. My daughters shoot it, and they love it. Super accurate. Highly recommended. As a matter of fact, if you're looking for a 22 handgun, head down to our newest sponsor, Double H Guns. Pick yourself one up there. See how I did that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I did. That was smooth there.
And then you got to schedule an oil change at Lauer Auto.
Right on, and Double H uses KBMR, so that's right in your building too, Todd.
Yeah.
I'll just zip through these Yeah, exactly. So you're supporting two great companies, Guns in the 701
There you go.
and 550 AM. Real quick, I'll just name these off real quick. 4 is Taurus, 5 Glock. Glock only makes one handgun, 122, and that thing sold over 63,000. And 6 is Browning, 7 Phoenix Arms, never heard of them actually, and 8 Beretta. So that's your 22 handgun caliber rundown there for some automatics. It can rear end the USA.
Phoenix Arms is a small little company. Their guns are inexpensive guns. I'd call them an economy gun. We used a few in banquets back in the day, Jamie, but they're okay. They're not going to be the one that you're going to run out and want and got a desire, but they're good. Good economy gun for anybody to get, and they'll function. That's the way I describe them.
As long as it goes bang when you pull the trigger.
If you have to buy a gift for somebody you don't really like, but you want to get something, I mean, there you go. For example.
Yeah, perfect.
Guns in the 701 at 850. Bill to allow armed teachers in Nebraska, and I'm sure somebody's going, well, of course we want teachers to have arms on their bodies. So they've misunderstood the bill, and now they're...
I'll tell you. We passed a similar bill, but Senator Tom Brewer, he introduced this. He's a Republican, so he brought this forth basically in Nebraska. The Associated Press, they're not exactly friendly to the Second Amendment either, but they do want to have the availability to have their teachers and their staff and essentially off-duty cops and law enforcement officers to be able to be in the schools with handguns, basically, or any kind of firearm. I think it's a good idea. I think they got a big chance of passing this probably in Nebraska. We have one in North Dakota. Cited the same reasons when we were pushing that through. You got a lot of schools that are very, very rural. The time to respond to something like that is insane sometimes. It ain't going to happen. So it is a good idea. I've always believed that you want to keep your kids safe and you want to keep that building safe, especially in the climate we live in today. You should have armed personnel in those schools. They are the first line of defense, and who better is the teachers if they're willing. Now, I don't think you make every teacher do it. You don't make every staff person do it. You get those that are willing to go through that training. There is a course, by the way. NRA will take care of that through their program. There's nothing wrong with that program, and it does a fantastic job. We have it in North Dakota, but I do not like that they left it up just to school boards to make that decision, because they can override it. So we do have the state law, just like South Dakota does, but the school district, the school board, ultimately has to give the green light to it. So as you can imagine, there's very, very few that do it.
Meanwhile, in South Chicago, they've decided only students can have guns. So
yeah, and that's working well, ain't it? In the safe school zones. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I'm kidding. Before somebody thinks I'm serious. But let's face it, it's that they've been notorious for being gun-free, and yet how's that worked on the crime numbers?
Not very good.
About as good as having gun-free schools have worked on stopping mass shootings, Todd. It hasn't worked.
Or any place else that puts up a sign, this is a gun-free zone. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll bring mine in, and you won't be able to do squat for yourself. Good luck. Just saying.
Hey, by the way, guys, next week I'm probably going to have an update on that Montana case, and it's not a good one, but it'll be appealed. But we'll bring that up on the show next week, because we've been kind of following that here.
Okay, well, I'll be in Vegas. Hopefully not getting shot.
Oh, well, not.
If I don't make it back, you know why now, I guess.
So Clay's going to be back. Clay's going to be back next week on the live stream. He wasn't here Wednesday. I filled in with Mike, who's usually on here with Todd and Clay. We had a pretty good show, so you can check that out. And hey, guess what? If you can't watch the replay of the live stream, go on iHeart. Best podcast on iHeart, Guns in the 701. And tonight, Todd, my own podcast, which is in association with Guns in the 701, 701 Nation, is going to be on tonight, 7 p.m. on all the Guns in the 701 social media outlets and our website. I'm having on the guys from the Worst Shop, the guys who started the Worst Shop in Dickinson. Art and Brian Warner are going to be on. We're going to be talking everything sausage making. So if you're not doing anything tonight, get on there and get in the chats and let's talk some sausage making with some experts.
Pretty soon, Guns in the 701 is going to be its own app with 1 billion channels on it there. And
I'd love
70 Nation was 701 Nation was the first one, so you heard the first one. So, all right, guys. Well, I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Awesome.
Good, Todd.
Good talking to you again, buddy.
All right, you too. Stay safe.